welcome back. It is a Money Monday edition of Liquid Lunch on Newsmax TV. Indeed. And on Money Monday, we don't just talk about money, we bring on the money guests. And when we mix it up on Money Monday, that's all the alliteration I could fit in. But we bring in the money men, Bill Cortese on the right, Josh Kravitz on the left. Guys, thanks for sticking around. And, there's so much craziness going on. Josh was saying before that there is consensus behind the candidates, and they like the Democrats like the field. Who's been the front runner, the leader all along is Joe Biden. And they say he has appeal to African-American people of color. But one thing I think some of the younger people are into these days is marijuana and cannabis. And Joe Biden says there's not enough evidence for the national legalization of marijuana. Is that going to hurt him with the younger voters, Josh?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm 29 years old. I'm born in 1990, so I'm a core millennial. And Joe Biden doesn't really speak to me, to be honest. And talking the way that he is, it doesn't really speak to me as well. And it really, you can't talk about marijuana without talking basically about the crime bill and about the incarceration problem, particularly in communities of color, because the races, like white people, black people, all races use marijuana at the same rate, the statistics show. But black kids go to jail way more than white kids do.
And how come? Who put in that crime bill?
Joe Biden.
He did.
Yeah. Right, and it's a real thorn in his side, and I don't think he's properly apologized for his role in that either. And so Joe Biden, I mean, look, at the end of the day, if Joe Biden's the nominee, I will be knocking on doors in Pennsylvania the weekend before the election next year for him, just as I will for Bernie and anyone in between. However, he's not speaking to me.
Is this a deal killer with the younger folks against pot?
This is just Joe Biden, another thing on Joe Biden, another knock where he just is not reading the room. And certainly it feels like he's running a presidential campaign from 1999, not 2019. And so I think this is just another thing where he seems out of step. I think you talk about it. He's just not connecting with I think, younger people, millennial voters, which make up certainly a good amount of that Democratic primary electorate. So I think he's having trouble, and I think the poll numbers are reflecting that, and his fundraising is reflecting that. He's having some real problems.
Yeah, he's sinking like a rock in Iowa, as Josh said earlier.
And that's why
Buttigieg went by him. That's why Bloomberg and Deval Patrick are sneaking their way in. But Bill, you said something interesting there. You say he's not reading the room. How can we have an expectation, Democrats, that Biden can read the room when he doesn't even know what state he's in sometimes? One day he says, I'm in Vermont, another day I'm in Ohio. He doesn't know where he's at. It seems like he lost it.
Well, remember, when Joe Biden got into this race, he was supposed to be the savior of the Democratic Party, and was supposed to, you looked at all the polls, the head-to-head against Trump, and it had, Biden beating Trump in a lot of these swing states, but he's certainly not living up to those expectations, and I think he's looking every bit his age. He's having a lot of trouble, and people are picking up on that, and I think you see the numbers with Buttigieg, the latest out of Iowa. I think people are looking for a fresh face, for a contrast. We saw it with Barack Obama in 2008. And now the staying power, I don't know what staying power Mayor Pete has, but certainly this is a good poll for him and a bad poll for Joe Biden.
I agree. I'll say one thing in Joe Biden.
Ringing the bell because we finally agreed on something. I like that. I only ring the bell when we all agree.
I do agree. I'm going to say one thing in Joe Biden's defense, which is that it's clear to everyone that he has a really big heart. And he should be leaning into that, because there's no one who's displayed more public empathy and made almost a brand for. I see you rolling your eyes, but you know what? Well,
let's elect him president. He's got a really big heart. He doesn't know where he is. His eyeballs are bleeding. His teeth are falling out, but he's got a big heart.
I'm not saying that that's the reason why someone should be elected, and we've agreed. However, when you talk about America in Trump's America, it's a coarsened world. It's a world where we're suspicious of each other. We talk more meanly to each other. People fight at Little League games. It's just a world that we didn't grow up in. It's a world we don't want to live in, and we need a world with a bigger heart. And so I'm not voting for Joe Biden in the primary, assuming he makes it to New York and I have the chance to. But I just want to say that that's a characteristic of him, and I think that's what keeps some people around.
But that's to your point. He has not told his story.
I think that's right. I think he is totally into that,
and I don't think he has the ability to do it. This is a guy who probably wasn't throwing in the high 90s before, but certainly is not throwing now. I think his best political days are behind him.
He's got to come up maybe like with a knuckleball or something at this point.
Help Tim Wakefield,
fastball, and like Tim Wakefield,
right,
right.
Or Phil
had
Negro.
Negro, right? They reinvented themselves. old Nuxie with the glue on the hat. You know, maybe he's got to
Sure.
use some tricks like that.
Yeah.
But guys, I also a couple weeks ago there was big news that Twitter said they weren't going to allow political advertisements anymore. And I kind of thought that's like right on the edge of free speech, because now you got the management of Twitter deciding what is a political ad. And that to me gives them a lot of room to squelch free speech. Is this good or bad, Billy?
Well, I mean, listen, this is going to be a test, right? You're going to be able to look at what happens with Twitter, what happens with Facebook, who's going the opposite way. What is going to be the line? Where is the line going to be drawn? What is going to be political speech? If a cosmetics company or some corporate entity says, you know, you need to vote on this or support X, I mean, where is the line? And so, listen, I'm for free speech. I think people should be able to do it. I think there are obviously concerns, and Twitter made a business decision that they didn't want to deal with the agita and what Zuckerberg had to do in terms of being dragged in front of Congress and filleted, that Jack Dorsey and Twitter, I think, just decided we're going to avoid it altogether.
Well, I hope Facebook changes its mind and actually joins Twitter. But you're right. I mean, where is the line? It's hard to say, but what I will say that precedes that is that it's not a public forum. It's not like you're going out in the street and talking politics and getting on your soapbox and saying what you want to say, and then the police saying, no, you can't say that. This is not a public forum. This is a private forum. And so the First Amendment doesn't apply. Now they can say we don't want any type. They could say we don't want Republicans talking. They could say we don't want Democrats talking. They could do that, and that would be within their rights. Now, when you have a forum as large as what Twitter is, and it's such a medium for communication, we do want to make sure that the line is well understood. And obviously, it's in the hands of people who are not elected. But that's the point, because it's a private company, and the First Amendment doesn't apply.
So if Twitter says, hey, we're going to only accept ads from Democrats, you think because they're a private company, they can do that?
I wouldn't advise it as a business decision. I don't think it's right as an American. I wouldn't want that. I want it to be an open. I think it should really be treated as a utility, because it's so used, both Facebook and Twitter, that it's actually become a utility in terms of communication. And so I would very much disagree with that, but I would say it's within their rights.
Well, let me give you an example that's bothering me right now with Liquid Lunch. Okay, we're coming to you live every day, noon to 2 Eastern, right here on Newsmax TV. And let's just say we have a great segment here, and our team really likes it, and we want to take a part of that segment, right? And we want to sponsor it. We want to pay to boost it on Twitter, so we get more people to see the content of how great you guys are and how Liquid Lunch is. And I'm holding this Trump pen in my hand, right? That could give Jack Dorsey and his team an opportunity to say, hey, we're not allowing this to go on because it's a political advertisement. So it starts to really become a slippery slope there.
I don't know where the line is, and I don't know where the slippery slope is, but one standard that seems pretty obvious is where's the source of the money coming from, right? I mean, if the Trump campaign or Associated PAC or a Democratic PAC...
You sound like my divorce attorney. Where's the source of the money come from? we don't have to disclose that to Twitter.
Well, if it's a PAC or it's the Trump campaign spending on political ads, then it's obvious it's political. If Newsmax is doing it, that's a news organization, and so it's not as clearly political. So that's at least, if it's a PAC or it's the Trump campaign spending on political ads, then it's obvious it's political. If Newsmax is doing it, that's a news organization, and so it's not as clearly political. So that's at least a line that we can all agree with. That would be a clear line. You might not agree with it, you might agree with it, but at least that would be a clear line. A campaign cannot spend on political ads on Twitter.
You see, you guys like what we're doing with the studio? We're trying to shape it up here. And if you want to know why there's things banging and slamming and happening, because we're doing a whole makeover on the studio. And if I haven't mentioned it already, if you're not getting your daily dose and your fix of Liquid Lunch from noon to 2 Eastern, Monday to Friday, you got to tune in on Saturday at 5 p.m. for the best shots of Liquid Lunch, which are the best segments of the week. And I surround it with all this reality footage of what's really happening behind the cameras and over on the other side of that wall. And it's quite amusing, might I add. But these guys will probably make it into the show this week. Bill Cortese, Josh Kravitz, thank you so much for coming down and mixing it up.
Yeah.
No matter what, we mix it up. We have thoughtful conversation. I have a drink. But at the end, we shake hands and we part friends. This court is out of session for just a few moments. We're going to take a quick break, come back at you with more from the impeachment hearings. Frankie's going to join me back on set right after this.